Welcome to another episode of Talkative. I'm so excited to have Helen Lolita Hampton in the house. Hey, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. We've got Tiffany with us again from Black Swan Consulting. And our producer is in the house, Vance, Head-Roc, Levy. And this is brought to you all by Chocolate City Rocks. Talkative is a series where we connect with, I say dynamic because you are dynamic, but
you.
Very gifted, loquacious, talkative people that like to have good conversation about a lot of things and have a variety of skills and talents. So we have artist, entrepreneur, maker, customizer. You have a mantra that I found on one of your pages about you make it or you make it better.
I make things or I make them better.
Say that again for the people.
I make things or I make them better.
I love that. So you're a walking billboard. So I want to jump into it about what you make. Like, what are the things, what are you making right now? Because I know there's an evolution of your art. We're going to talk about that.
There is.
But you're a walking billboard. So tell us about what you're wearing.
What I'm wearing, some little secondhand camo pants, secondhand sequence vest,
A little sparkle,
a shirt
sparkle.
that I made.
Love that. Raw hewn.
Yeah, raw honey.
Honey.
Honey,
Let
it's
me get it
pronounced
right.
honey.
Raw honey. Tell us
But
about
I get
that.
that. Raw honey was a poetry name.
Okay, we're going to talk about
yes.
that. The artistic. So raw honey.
Yes,
H-U-N-E,
raw honey.
y'all.
Yes.
Excuse me. I was being all phonetic.
That's all right.
The creative raw honey. And your neck piece is extraordinary.
Thank you. I got this for like $10 on sale online.
So that's okay.
Melanie Ishani.
Okay, awesome. So also supporting these other
Yes.
makers and and doers of the craft.
Yeah, so it was on clearance. I was
love
like,
that.
ooh, $10. Huh?
And-
And my niece is a Leo. Got myself one and her.
And you're
I've
a
had
Leo.
this for
We
years.
talked about this.
Yes.
So you're rocking your lion. I love that. Let
Yes.
people know.
Thank you. All right.
And your earrings.
Yeah,
I'm
my
a
earrings.
earring junkie.
So my little mismatched gemstone earrings. I don't know what stones are in them. I just put them together.
Make them a found object.
And that's my favorite pair.
I love them. And I love anything asymmetric that's like a different, one is different than the other. So that works. And
My hat, my green wool, kind of sort of open crown fedora, but I put this little cowboy dent in it. What do I have on it? I have a necklace that a friend gifted me,
so a band on it. That's beautiful.
and then a little wrinkled piece of ribbon. And I used to make the leather bow ties,
I like that.
so that ended up on the hat. And then last night I decided I'd put Harriet Tubman
That's one of your
on
latest
some cards.
creations.
And
Let's pull this out for the people so they can really see. I'm gonna put this into the frame. Isn't that super fly?
Ooh,
I
that looks
love
good.
that. Isn't that nice? And then look,
It's
and
a
then
flower
it's
behind
beautiful. You see this?
it's in French. I can't read it.
So it's a vintage playing card. Tell us
Yes.
how you make. So it's a vintage playing card.
Vintage playing card that I found secondhand. Bought a deck, and they have different flowers on them.
That's
different species
beautiful.
of flowers. It's in French. I can't read it. And I just played around with them last night and put some images of Harriet on it.
Harriet Tubman. Yeah.
For freedom.
That's right. That's right.
So
So
an ancestor card.
I love that in the hat. That's so
Having an ancestor
fantastic.
card.
And so you made that hat. So
I made this.
So I'm wearing a Helen Lolita
Customized
original
hat, yes.
a customized hat. I'm trying to. Y'all don't want to see my hair, so I'm gonna show that. I might get a good image for a little B-roll later, but we're not gonna take the hat
It
off
looks good
today.
on you, and you pulled that mustard out.
Thank you. I love the
Print.
The print.
I got some
The
more of
Dinka
that
print.
too.
It's beautiful. And then, so I guess I never asked you about it, but there's also a beautiful couple
vintage
pieces.
necklace.
Vintage necklaces on this hat. Yeah. So I mean, you can't beat that. And my favorite tassel.
My leather tassel earrings.
That's right. So we're gonna talk about this some more, but you can find Helen Lolita's art, wearable
Yes.
art, online on
Yes.
Etsy.
On Etsy.
Okay,
Yes, some of my
awesome.
items are on Etsy.
Beautiful. So we'll look for Helen Lolita. Is that the
Helen
name?
Lolitas.
Helen Lolitas. Y'all
Dot
check it out.
Etsy.com.
That's right. So
Yeah.
y'all can get some of this good stuff. So I'm so glad you wore your stuff so you could really give variety. I just had a couple of things I had to decide and put it together.
I put some stuff in the bag for you.
We gonna talk about that too.
Okay.
Yes, awesome. So I want to talk to you about. So speaking of, you put some stuff in the bag. One of the first things you said is you brought gifts because you Southern. I'm Southern too, so we got something too. We gonna exchange a little later.
Okay.
We're gonna show some love both ways, so we appreciate it. But I want to talk to you about where you're from.
I am from a little city called Portsmouth, Virginia.
Okay.
So that's where I grew up. I was actually born in Maryland.
Okay.
So I found my way back after some years, but I was born in Maryland at Fort Meade on base because my dad was active duty Army.
Okay.
And so I was born in Maryland.
Okay.
But moved back, I guess, when I was an infant.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And so when my parents split up, we moved from Fort Story, Virginia Beach to a little house that she had already purchased in Portsmouth.
In Portsmouth. So your mother has roots in Portsmouth.
My mother
Virginia.
and my father are both from Portsmouth. Yes.
Right in Portsmouth. So that's where you came up. So the reason why I asked about where you're from is because I know, our identity and where we're from shapes us. It shapes what we do, shapes our passions, our interests, and things like that. And for me, being a historian, like that part of the country, Portsmouth, Virginia, the Tidewater, as we know, the whole 1619 campaign that just passed in 2019, 400 years since the first Africans stepped foot, I'll say, in Virginia through English slavery, right? With the intention of, of having us perform free labor here in America. That was the 1619 day. We do know Africans were here before then, but we won't get into all of that. But but given that history being so rich, because I wasn't really aware. I mean, I knew about Jamestown settlement and all of that. I've been traveled in that area like my whole life. I'm from the South, from South Carolina, so my family and I, we would go to that part of Virginia, to like Williamsburg and all of that. So knew about all of that. So obviously we know slavery existed, but that whole, it's actually in Hampton, the gosh, I can't believe it's evading me. But where the whole 1619 signage and all of that is, it really
I'm learning something.
Yeah, well, so now even hearing this, and I know you know about slavery being in Virginia and all that kind of
Yorktown,
stuff, but all of that history, that's still present with you growing up there, does that contribute at all or factor into your art and what you do?
It probably should, and it probably does unconsciously. I'm certain,
right?
Because I'm super about ancestry and exploring roots, and I know you've seen the chair Oche, and how she was made, and I call it a series, slave food. So we were left with the scraps.
Yeah, there you go.
So what do we do when we're left with just minute pieces of what somebody else used for a bigger project?
That's right. And so, now that you lay that out, that the whole kind of very focused part of that, that's what you do. I mean, you recreate everything that you're wearing, and as you described, like found objects from your earrings, even creating a hat from wool, just creating something from scratch as well. That's all a part of your artistic discipline, as I see it playing out. No, that's great. So there's a lot of history there, and of course, I'm sure that course is through, like you said, maybe even intentionally in a way, because you talked about Harriet leading you to freedom. That's part of it, and subconsciously as well. That's right, and she's from Maryland, where your actual roots are, where you're born. So I want to talk a little bit about we talked about what you're making. We didn't really get into it, like what you're wearing, which are examples of some of the things that you make. But what's your evolution? I thought I saw something about nail art or nail technician in the past. So I want to talk about that whole evolution.
I've always been creative. So people are like, when did you start? And I was like,
out the womb.
Yes. The beginning. The beginning.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I know that we have a mutual friend who dated us, who put us together, and now she's tufting rugs, and it made me think about when I was younger and latch hooked. Yeah. So latch hook, God's eye, just everything we did back in the day. I think even I remember doing a self portrait where you like use a mirror. Probably kindergarten or something. Just
You always remember creating.
I have always been creative.
Yeah.
I think I really got super creative when I went to visit my sister, and she was living in Blacksburg, and she had a friend that was beading. And so I saw the beads, fell in love, bought some beads, bought an Indian seed beading book, and started Indian seed beading. And then through my research found out this beading, the peyote stitch, is similar to the Zulu stitch.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, it's just a native indigenous art just across the world.
Right.
So it made me love it more. But what was so funny about it is I would do the Native American seed beading in red, black, and green, red, gold, and green.
That's right.
Because I was just like
bringing
into
in those
that, right? So I would always switch it up, and that's what I would make with that. So
awesome.
that's one of the things I started with, and then after that, the nail art.
Okay.
You know, because I had been to beauty school, but
That's
when
right.
I did the pedicure, I fell in love with the nail art side of it.
Yeah.
And then I saw people getting their nails airbrushed. But in order to airbrush a nail, I had to be able to do a nail. I had to have a canvas. So
that's
I
a
went
real
to nail
art
school.
to nail art. I mean, shoot, Tiffany has some beautiful art on her nails that she got from
Really?
someone out down in Georgia. And I mean, but it's really something to that,
It
you know,
is.
that I don't think is really that we think about, you know.
Right.
But we know women. That's what we do, you know. Go
We
to
do.
nail salons, spend a lot of money in the nail salons, and have that palette on our hands. You know,
Yeah,
that's
and
amazing.
so I was always kind of an entrepreneur in that way too. So, you know, I had a little nail business, and, you know, and never thought about it.
Yeah.
Just I was doing nails.
Right. I think that's another thing too that you know, right now you hear a lot about supporting small black businesses and all of this stuff. But one thing that I realize about us as black people is we've always been entrepreneurial, partly because we had to, because we could not exist like in mainstream places, and that's how we fed our families. I learned about it doing my own kind of family genealogy, and actually just doing the collecting of like collectibles. I was home, I collected a cake plate, like a crystal cake plate bottom,
Ooh,
and like
nice.
the metal, you know, the little carrying like cake pan. My father, I had it sitting on the table, and my father said, when I see that reminds me of my grandmother. She used to bake cakes, and I would go deliver them to people, and they would give me silver dollars. He had a whole story. Never in my life had he shared that with me, but seeing that object led him to that story. So
That's great.
the point is, so then I learned about some of that in my own family. I learned from talking to one of my cousins about my paternal grandfather. There was 12 children, and so he told me that my grandfather, like, I guess rented a little space of land like up the street, because they were in, this is down in Thomasville, Georgia, which is still kind of rural, but this was like the city, if you will. So like a neighborhood, organized neighborhood. So somebody had a little bit of land, and so he planted vegetables and sold them, you know, just to earn extra money. So just these little things, like we find ways to do it, you know. Have your art that you want to share, but also there's a way, economic advantage to that as well. So you're
love
you're
that.
making and selling stuff all the time.
I am.
Yeah, as well.
More making than selling.
Hey, well,
I'm always creating.
Yeah,
Oh,
always
it's good.
creating.
Yeah.
So you'll never
Always.
stop creating.
Right.
So I don't want to, of course, being interested in things and like teaching yourself certain things, there is definitely value in that. But what other thing, like your skill set, they had to come from somewhere too, because you're gifted. So who in your family is like sewing or creating? Like you had to have gotten the influence from somewhere.
My grandmother
as well.
made her own patterns.
Yes,
My grandmother's
there
a
you go.
seamstress. My aunts all sew.
Yeah.
My mom used to have this, well, she does now still, but she was knitting on knitting machines. It was absolutely unheard of. Wow. In the 70s.
Knitting on you talking about?
It is a machine. It's super long, and it has all these what look like crochet hooks on it, and you run the thread, you know, you run the yarn down into it, and you run its handle back and forth across it, and it knits.
So how did she get into that? So what is?
I don't know. I have to ask her.
Ask her. We gotta
You know,
bring her
probably
to
on
talk.
base. I think it
That's
really had to
interesting.
do with just being on Fort Story and being exposed to a lot of different people from
That's
different
really
places,
cool.
because you know, a lot of brides from other places.
Well, that's another,
Yeah,
but that's
so-
another kind of influence too, because that probably for you, and this is me being presumptuous, but doesn't make you fear like going into different directions and trying things. If you see your mother doing this you know, in the 1970s on this machine. And, you know, then you can go look into the seed beating and all these other things that may not seem like inaccessible or known thing. You know what I mean? So that's cool. The whole base experience and being exposed to different people and different cultures and backgrounds. That's really cool too.
That's true. And so now Mom has a crochet group.
What?
Yeah, so she leads a bunch of her lady friends, and they go to the library once every Wednesday. They just pick back up after really the cool. Pandemic, and they crochet.
So do you know how to crochet?
I can crochet a line.
Do you crochet?
I can crochet a string, but it's not my thing. Knitting and crochet aren't my thing.
Right. So are there other things, because you do a lot of things we're talking about, and I want to get into the hats a little bit more, because that really seems like really specialized, you know, like really, like you got to study it. It doesn't seem easy either. Right. So I want to hear about that as well. But I was going to ask you, because it looks like you're doing the hats, but is there anything else that you aspire to learn? Like, is there something that's like, oh, if I had just like loads of time, because we talk about not being bored and want to create all the time. Is there something that...
Metalsmithing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if everybody knows about the custom shoes, which led to the custom hats.
About that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
So the sneakers...
So that's what I know about you first.
Kept me from teaching myself metalsmithing.
Okay.
So I had collected all this, bought all this stuff to teach myself metalsmithing.
Right.
And then the sneaker order started coming in.
Hold that metalsmithing. Let me, because I don't know how I forgot, because that's how I know you originally. When I first met you, saw you had these Converse sneakers and other shoes that you can build up, and I'll let you talk about it. But man, they look like they come out of the factory, you know, as far as like what I remember and what you still do is Ankara and other like African fabrics like on Converse sneakers. So can you tell us about that? Because that's really
so what it was I was always, like I was telling you about the seed beating. You know, I always wanted to make it look like our heritage, red, black, green, and red, gold, and green from, you know, the Jamaican or whatever heritage. I was just magnetized to those things.
Right.
So I always wanted shoes with African print on them. I hadn't really seen that. I mean, of course, I went and looked and studied and tried to figure it out, and I did a pair of secondhand pumps with that. And at the time, I was in this group on Facebook, Native Trade and Barter.
Okay.
I want to say it was. And I had done the shoes, and we were, you know, making things and trading. And so a lady asked me, she said, "Can you do that on Converse?" And I was like, "Yes." I didn't know what I was doing. It took her about 3 years to send me the shoes.
Okay.
And she sent me, I think, 3 pairs.
Okay.
And it took me a month to like get those to her, because I had to figure out.
Considering it took 3 years to get them.
So the engineering happens.
Yeah.
In my head, where I have to figure out how I'm going to do this. And so as that evolved, I was charging $30 for low tops and $35 for high tops to do it. And if I had to buy the sneaker, of course, I'd charge cost for the shoe. Right. And I had 30 pairs of shoes at any given time on my shelf.
They're flawless. They're flawless. Like they look like you're wearing a Converse sneaker. They're flawless. Like, I mean, as far as like, if you see the shoe that she creates, it looks like it rolled out the factory like that.
I do.
Yeah.
I actually bought a whole entire shoe patching machine.
Wow.
Okay. To evolve me as a shoe customizer.
Got you. Interesting. So again, you do the Converse sneaker, but you can customize any shoe. So
Pretty much.
I can give you like any shoe, like
yes.
flat, a heel, you know.
And like it doesn't have to be Ankara.
It doesn't have to be
Ankara.
Yeah, anything. Yeah,
you know, because I've done mud cloth, I've done Kuba cloth.
Right.
Yes.
That's amazing. So you're still doing the shoes?
Well, sometimes.
Okay.
Here and there.
Yeah.
You should see my shoe collection.
Right.
Oh, Lord.
You have lots of shoes. And you do, and I know you're doing the jewelry. You just
Yes.
put a lot of things on the Etsy page, so y'all go check it out. There are a lot of things that you just uploaded there. Now let's talk about these hats, and then I want to go to metalsmith, and we'll still talk about those aspirational things, how we gonna fit that in.
Okay.
Because I can see it, it can come together. But let's talk about the hats, the evolution of like your customizing to now, creating from scratch.
So, in addition to my mom being a creative, she had a godmother who used to make hats.
Okay.
And mom inherited hat blocks.
Okay.
And she passed those on to me.
Okay.
For the longest time, they were just antique.
They were just
as antique.
They were just
relics,
they
were
around.
tchotchkes.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, so they were just hanging out.
Yeah.
And then my mom was like, "You should make hats," and I was, I'm thinking that's something old ladies do. Well, now I'm an old lady, but
not hardly.
well, middle age, but when not to the grades stop popping.
Right, that's right.
So
keep it going.
You think hats, you think church, you think older ladies, gray hair, retired, that kind of thing. And I was just like, it's not modern, and I didn't see myself that way.
Right.
But then somebody said, well, how about what you do on shoes, you take and put it on the hats. And so that's how that underbrim and overbrim was born, like you have one. Oh my gosh, you should see the number of people that are doing that underbrim.
Really doing that now, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting.
It is, yeah.
So you were kind of pioneering that, really,
I was.
in doing it. Yeah,
I
you better
tend to be a
tell the
pioneer.
people now.
I tend to be a pioneer with a whole lot of things.
Tell the people.
And it's fine. It used to irritate me.
Yeah.
It used to irritate me big time.
Yeah.
Like, they're copying.
Yeah.
But I'm getting inspiration from somewhere.
Yeah,
So.
that's right. And also, everybody will know like a Helen Lolita hat. You know what I'm saying? So we all do a lot of different things, but nobody can do it like you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even though, hey, you got your, yeah, how it evolves. Yeah.
I'm gatekeeping. No, I'm gatekeeping.
Yeah.
So the hats evolved from the shoes, and then I was like, well, I have these hat blocks, and then people were like, well, can you make the hat bigger? Because they, I got a big head. Everybody thinks they have a big head. I got a big head. So
you one of those people like, can you make it big?
I had to start stretching the hats out.
Right.
And I think what you have on started with another shape.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so I blocked that.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
So
So when you say you block, because I'm totally ignorant.
So you steam.
Okay.
You steam a hat to soften it. And that can be wool, like you have on, or it can be fur felt, which is what I have on.
You have
and
on.
I think you can feel the difference between this
Definitely. Yeah,
and that.
there's a difference.
Yeah, so this is rabbit fur felt.
Got you. Okay.
And there's a difference, and then they have different textures that they do with these.
Right.
But so you steam it, you get it soft, and then you pull it over a shape.
Okay.
So it's sculpting.
And so that's what you had. So the blocks that you're referring to, they're the shapes. So they're various shapes. Is that how that
There
works?
are various shapes.
Interesting.
So you and there's a basic shape that you can utilize, and then you can actually take it and use your hands. And I'm not that good yet. I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, that's so
But,
interesting. Yeah, you never think. So again, generally, if you want to go get a hot hat, before I met Helen Lolita, I go to, Macy's or some store, probably TJ Maxx, and, try to find a hat. But now, but after you get something like this, like, no way. But the point I'm making is, like, when you go get something that's mass produced or whatever, you never really think about the full process of creating something. And that's why the value, in getting from a maker, like, that's why you don't haggle with prices, none of that. The artist is making it. You set your price and stick with it, because
I appreciate you.
You know what it takes to make it. I never, don't do that, because we don't do that at Macy's. We don't go to Macy's and go get a purse off the rack and go ring it up, and then they say the price is what it is, and can you take $20 off of that? No, we don't do that.
I know people that do, but
well, let me speak for myself. But you're right.
Right. There are a few people that I'm like, oh my gosh, we can't go shopping. We can't go shopping together. You misbehaved.
That's crazy. But generally, most people don't.
Right. Most people
But most people don't. But again, that's why I appreciate it. That's why we doing this talkative as well, to hear, like what it takes to create this hat.
Hours.
Yeah, hours.
Yeah. And I was, because I'm self-taught.
Yeah, and
so
you
I
had to
watched
learn.
a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of YouTube videos. And then watched some TikTok videos. But at that point, I was already attempting, because your hat was, I want to say it was rounded in the top.
That's what I was going to say. Was
but
it a
the
different shape?
Is round on the top, and then it's flat on the bottom. So I turned it upside down and I shaped.
So that's how that happened. Hey, see, I learned something new.
Kind of got it top headish.
Yeah, I like that.
But it would be.
Well, I
yes,
guess the
you put
bottom
the
of
shape
block,
inside of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you're saying you inverted probably
Yes.
and did the base of it instead
And I
of the
learned
top.
that from watching other people.
That's so cool. Yeah, and again, I was like, I like the hat and it looks good, but I never thought about like how the shape of the hat. I mean, why would I? I was just like, this is a nice hat, but it's good to know. And again, so you talk about you invested everything in the shoes, so that kind of took you off track from the metalsmithing.
Right.
Now, with this, I feel like it's like a gift, the having those hat blocks, even though they were hanging out as, little relics around, looking all nice and vintage. The fact that they were there, like, led you to this place.
They were waiting on me.
That's right.
They were waiting. On you. They've been waiting on me.
Yeah.
That kind of makes me tear up.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Because you want to do this, you want to do that, you want to do that, but your path, you don't know where your path.
That's true, and you got to look at those signs as well.
Yeah. So I think that was really. I mean, I still want to do some metalsmithing, but I was also thinking, I could gift. Some of these things.
Right.
Because I'm not using them right.
Yeah. So you don't think you'll go in that direction?
I might, but I just got too much stuff.
You got a lot going on, yeah.
Yeah, it's too many. I get overwhelmed. Because I've collected all these things to do all these different creative things, but all of those things can't happen at once.
Right.
All of those things can't happen in the next 90 days.
Yep.
And I think that I'd be better if I focused on a few things.
Right.
And was in a studio where I could have different spaces set up to do all those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now it's just.
Yeah, it's all in your living space and everything. Yeah, that's a different thing.
I live in a studio.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an apartment, but it's really a studio with a bed and a bathroom.
Okay, so was that an aspiration? So can we put this out in the universe to get you manifest you a studio?
Yes.
Yes, we're gonna do that. Yes. So as well for your focus, would you say that you're focusing on hats right now?
I am focusing on hats. Yes.
Okay. And kind of reworking some of these other things. So you mentioned, like the jewelry, the rings, like that. That's what I wanted to talk about. So we were talking about clearing space. Tiffany, I know you've been clearing space, and we're always trying to make room for things. And so how much of what you have do you kind of transform into other things? Because I know you do some sewing and you
everything like the chair.
Yeah, let's talk about the chair. So the furniture, that's another area. So
I'm not, I always wanted to upholster, but then I saw somebody take a chair apart and I was like, oh, to the no. So I was like, that's, all that stuff popping out, that's a little too, that creates anxiety.
Right.
But I had all the scraps. I kept collecting the scraps from the shoes. So I make a shoe and the scraps would go in the bin. I make shoes, scraps would go in the bin, and I was like, I'm gonna do something with them.
Okay.
And then I know that my sister was like, do you have any scraps? And I was like, I use my scraps.
They're gonna be used for
and I think when people think scraps, they're thinking these larger pieces, but those still could be used for like the shoes. So I started making earrings. So I would make earrings, put them on wood, and maybe paint the back. And then I would have these different wood shapes with the fabric, larger scraps.
Okay.
And then I had the little teeny bits, and I was like, let me wrap these around the earring, or let me lay these all out, and cover them with this gloss coat.
Okay.
But then I found a chair on the trash. I live in an apartment complex. People throw stuff out.
All the time.
So I found a chair. And I brought the chair home. And it sat for a minute. And I was like, I know what I'm going to do with that chair. I'm going to cover it with them little itty bitty witty scraps.
That's amazing.
So I didn't, if I cut anything, it was already a scrap.
Right.
So I didn't cut up any fabric.
So you had like real scraps.
I just dug in what I consider my magic bin.
I like
my slave food, my
scraps.
What do we eat? The chitlins.
That's right.
The hog's head.
Yeah, that's right.
So I'm turning these scraps into hog-head cheese.
I know that's right.
This chair, which I named Oche, which is Igbo for chair.
Okay.
Because a lot of our people that came over the Middle Passage were Igbo.
Okay.
You know, so that's how that developed into that name. But it took me about 4 years to do it because I would do it here. I just had so much going on. I'm here, I'm there.
So you weren't focused. You weren't focused on that chair, but
Right.
it was there. You had your scraps that you wanted to turn into something, and so 4 years, Oche was born.
Yes.
And where is Oche?
Oche is with Michelle, who collected her.
Somebody collected her.
Yes, another friend that connected to from Zudeka.
So that's the other piece, you know. And Zudeka makes large pieces and things like that, and you made this chair that took 4 years. So how did that feel? That's what I always feel about like artists who create something over time or make something really massive. Like how did it feel to let go of Oche?
It was okay because I think Zudeka helped me. She was like, "You need to finish your chair,
okay?
Because I want you to be in this show."
I got you. So there was an endpoint.
I put it together in a way where it could be in the show, but it wasn't saleable at that point.
Okay.
So I was like, if it sells, then I'll need to, fix up the seat. Because the seat wasn't just
little
right.
Things. You were just
right.
Got you.
But it made it into this art show.
Okay.
And I think at that point I was ready to let it go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that regard, do you feel like you'll do any other furniture? Now, to me, it seems like this was like new territory. So you had your scraps and you had this chair that also was a scrap. Somebody threw it out. And, so you were just doing your other stuff and then adding the scraps to the chair over time. Is this something that you feel like you want to create more things like that?
I love piecing those scraps together into different things. So I don't know if you've seen, I have a camo jacket where I figured I made up some kind of way to sew all these scraps together because I looked at all the videos and how people were sewing theirs together and decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make up a way to get them together. And then I took that and turned it into something and put on a jacket. I took another scrap that I probably use more actual known processes for putting the scraps together, quilting process.
Quilting, I was going to ask.
And attach that to a piece of leather in the shape of Africa and put that on the back of a jacket.
Okay.
So yes.
So you still using those scraps? So you still tell your sister like, don't come asking me for these scraps. They're being used.
I might have to just give her some larger pieces of fabric.
Yeah, there you go. Because your scraps they seem to be dedicated to some uses.
The scraps I'm a little bit more attached to than I am the actual full piece of fabric.
That's so interesting.
It is.
But I see that because you can weave it into something.
Well, and also because it was just a whole thing. Like people were super obsessed with those sneakers, and I just could not believe it.
You couldn't even really get out of it. That's why you had so many in inventory because it was like supply and demand type of thing. Yeah, I get it though because again, Converse sneakers, everybody loves them. It's like a mainstream thing you have added the culture to. It didn't exist, so hey, it's a void in the market.
So we were wearing
obviously
them.
we're not the only one that were interested in seeing this kind of Afrocentric version on a mainstream object. So yeah, that's awesome.
That was pretty dope.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for Converse to call me.
Yeah, they need to call you.
They need to call me. They collab, and it gotta be that. It could be something.
Yeah.
But they put out something.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess they must have seen my shoes. And people in New York running into each other on the street saying, you got those from, and I'm like, wow.
But that's what happens. I was realizing with Busy Bee Market is going on right now, right? And you realize it's really a small community of makers that people that really like make customizable things like that, because you can sell and market things that you can buy. They can still be cultural objects, but they're made and mass produced. But I started seeing the same people. You recognize them. I was out. I was somewhere and I had on a hat by someone else. And I was way in New England somewhere. Someone recognized. They knew the maker. They were like, "Is it this person or that person?" They asked between two people.
Which hat was it?
It was a Lips hat.
Okay, yes.
She makes. I can't think of her name.
Lisa?
But,
is her name Lisa? So, Keenan was just talking about her this morning.
Is that right?
Yeah, Lips hats.
Yeah,
Lips
hats.
Adorable.
Yeah, I can't think of her name.
I'm like looking at her ass like, how does she do that?
So when you were talking about the molds, and we going off topic for a little bit, but when you talk about the hat molds, I was thinking about her hats because the shapes are crazy. Like she makes crazy shaped hats. not crazy, but unique, very unique.
They,
Yeah, so I was thinking about that as you
they're
were talking.
extremely interesting. They're
Very
extremely
interesting.
unique, like you said. They are very. I love her hats.
So this hat I had was like a tiered like mesh. It was a summer hat made from straw, and people were going crazy over that hat. The people that didn't know it, like, that's a really cool hat. I'm like, yeah, it is. I was like, she was out here. She'd be making a lot of money. Generally, I think she would have been at this festival I was at, but yeah. But when you were talking about the hat molds, I'm like, how she make those hats? you know.
I've been trying to figure out. I'm like, what is she doing? Yeah, that's very interesting.
But that's the whole thing, the craft. That's why it's so important to understand. You know, you'll get there. I think, you know, you learn to create certain things. You'll figure something out. You'll have an epiphany, you know, as you continue to work with the material, you know.
And I think my epiphany is that I need to teach it. I'm a middle-aged woman, and I need to. Other
Share
people
the
do
craft.
need to. Yeah.
I was thinking about, do you know about Vanilla Bean?
Yeah.
The hat maker who just passed away.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
from DC, just passed away. It's so interesting. I think we were both at the Mayor's Arts Awards. They gave her, on her birthday, her 103rd birthday. So this was just, what, September? October? I can't keep track. Time's going like this. But this little lady came out and got her award for Lifetime Achievement Award. But her story was just incredible. I mean, she wasn't born making hats,
Right.
you know, and created this entire legacy
She did.
and empire. But that's a great
And I'm
thing
so
to
sorry
think
that
about.
I didn't get to like run into
yeah,
her because I could have
never
been, you know.
That's the whole thing. So
a
passing
mentee.
it on, yeah.
Yeah.
But even in your craft, I think it's wonderful. That's a wonderful thing to say, to like pass it on, you know, and teach others as well.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Because I know a. Ugh.
yeah.
Somebody asked me a question yesterday or the day before, and I was like, "Well, you could just blah blah blah," and I was like,
Yeah,
"I need to."
See, then you become an
Yeah.
expert. You come from novice to expert.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
I'm a master.
just like that, because you learn and teaching us. I mean, everybody who has a craft and they're well
Yes.
at it, you know, they didn't start out that way, you know.
No.
So, yeah, you got to value and appreciate that. That's awesome. Well, I think this has been wonderful. I know we're nearing the end, and we have some gifts to exchange, but I wanted to kick it over to Tiffany to see if she had any questions
Yeah,
or
got some
anything. We
questions,
just been
Tiffany.
chatting it up.
I really like this idea of you doing the classes. And
Okay.
I think I have a suggestion for you.
Okay.
To get started.
Okay.
Oh, so, and just for our
Awesome.
listening audience out here later, because Tiffany's not mic'd up, but she was co-signing this teaching class. And she's got some ideas.
Yes.
We're going to wrap a little bit after this, after we finish with the tea. But yeah, so from Southern Girl to Southern Girl, I appreciate the gifts. I'm not, you know, I appreciate it. So can I
appreciate you.
open it on camera and bring our
Yeah,
producer into the
you
fold,
can.
because there's some gifts in here for him too. Producer.
Yep, definitely. That box is for him.
Okay. Well, let me pull out, because he's over there. What do we have here?
A T-shirt.
I love this.
The throat,
Throat
chakra,
chakra.
rocking.
Rocking.
'Cause you're
I
talkative.
I love that. I love that. And
You
it's
know that's
How
original.
did you know the purple is my favorite color?
I didn't.
Purple
I
is my
didn't.
favorite. I just
When
covered
I
up
was
my
folding
mic
it up,
on
I was like, I don't even know what her favorite color.
Purple is my favorite color. Anything royal. Royal blue, royal purple, royal green.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of my original
I
phrases.
love
So
that.
you know,
Let's talk about
I've
that.
been a poet.
That's
and
we didn't even talk about the
Look,
poetry.
you know, a little bit of
Yes.
poetry, a lot of poetry.
That's right.
And that's kind of how I ran into Zudeka.
Through
That's
the
kinda how I
poetry
met.
scene.
But
That's right. I love the
and
interconnectedness of the
it's
arts.
super
period.
interconnected,
Yeah.
and her name keeps coming up.
Yeah.
And then I started writing little bites of wisdom as I was evolving.
Yes.
As I was doing that shadow work.
Yes.
As I was doing that inner work. I started writing all
I
these
love
different
this.
things, and that is one of my little things
sure
that I
people-
thought deserved a T-shirt. I have a
Yes.
whole file that I've been collecting for years
That's
of
great.
what should go on a T-shirt.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah, you got to do that, because, you know, T-shirts are big. Like, all of this stuff is big with the sayings and all that, too. But I love this. I think people would agree. Well, I like to run my mouth. That's why we're doing talkative. I love this. Awesome, awesome. And it's purple. What else we got in here? So this box.
that box
Vance.
is whiskey cubes.
There's something in here for you.
He's like, I'm coming.
These are gifts that.
Wow,
Helen
look at
Lolita-
that right
So open. So what is
there.
that?
So Say what now?
You got to show it on camera. What is this?
I gotta show it
Whiskey
on camera.
stones.
Open it.
But open it
You gotta open
right
it.
side
Yeah,
up.
open it. Yeah, right side up.
Don't mess it up. Don't drop it. Look at that.
What is? Oh, this is really cool. Oh man. Oh, that's oh. So what are whiskey stones?
You're supposed to freeze them and then use them to keep your drink cool.
What? Oh, that's so thoughtful and very nice.
Thank you.
Whiskey stones. So
Wow, that's awesome.
and some coasters to go with them. That's fancy.
It is fancy.
That's fancy.
It's fancy.
It's fancy.
Don't take that now.
We were just talking about the sayings now. We got to talk about trademark next.
Right.
Trademark and copyright. Thank you
Indeed.
so much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wow, thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Hello,
And a nice Malbec. Oh, thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
wine is always
I was like red or
extraordinary.
white, red or white.
Red.
Is
This
that
is
red
awesome.
works? Okay. And I'm a sweet red drinker, so.
And a hat.
Oh,
Oh, this is so nice. Very nice. And of course, oh, you got a lot of stuff in here. Helen.
Dang, it's Christmas. What a Christmas
I
tree.
know.
Christmas up in this joint.
I think this is for Vance.
Yes.
That looks like you. Perfect. You even wearing your camo right now.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Thank
And now you
you.
gotta switch it up.
My joint on.
You can take the little sticker off the outside.
Oh, this is
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
just, that was
That's
my
just some-
inventory. I gotta make sure it's
Ooh,
not
with some
listed
of
on my
these
Etsy.
wonderful leather earrings. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, fam.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
Sage.
sage
Yes.
to keep everything at bay. That's right.
Sage,
Always
couple
good
of
stuff.
bay
That's
leaves
awesome.
in there.
Oh no, this is so awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
We got a couple
Thank
little
you for
gifts
always
for you too.
supporting me.
Of course.
You're
I
super
love
supportive.
To. I love to. I love your I was trying to figure out what to wear today because I have I love the I like to call it like the watercolor effect that you do, like on the leather
yes.
earrings. Those are beautiful,
Oh,
and the
thank
hat, which I got before the pandemic, so I hadn't really had a chance to wear. But now it's time to bring it out. It was one of the white hats with the
Okay.
dye.
Okay.
What do you call that?
Paint stain dye.
Paint stain dye.
stain
But it's
dye.
a beautiful hat, isn't it?
Cause it's
All
a
the
secret.
colors.
No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah. Well, no, that's right. Shoot. Trade.
So
That's
it's-
trade secret.
You know, somebody asked me, they were like, what kind of paint did you
Call it
use
the
on
watercolor
that hat?
effect.
And what's funny is I still had airbrush paints from when I learned how to do nails in 1997. I still, some of those paints were still, so some of that's on there. It's just whatever I had in my stash,
Okay. Okay.
which has evolved into
Yeah.
like me purchasing dyes and that kind of thing. But
Right. But yeah, never tell people.
Yeah.
It's a trade secret. That's what Vance
I was
always
just
says.
playing.
It's a trade
I just
secret.
play in my studio, and
Yeah.
that's how a lot of things.
And
come about.
then you play in your studio and you figure out a method and it's yours and it's a trade secret.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
you know,
yeah,
the
but I
chair's been.
what's that?
People have been doing the chair.
Really? But they
They
still don't know
have.
how you did it.
They don't. They just
Yeah.
figure I use Mod Podge.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. We'll let
whatever.
them keep thinking that.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, it's fine. At first, it super annoyed me because I was like,
Yeah.
why would you do that? Like
Right.
all these things out here to do, but why would you do it and then keep doing it over and
Right.
over again? Like that's mine,
Yeah.
but it still is.
Yeah, it's still yours.
They
That's the
can't-
whole
yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's the whole thing. What do they say? What do they say? There's a term for like flattery with
Yeah.
people.
Um,
Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
yeah, that mediocrity can pay.
This flattery will get you everywhere.
Okay, mediocrity. Flattery is the highest form. No, imitation is the highest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. That's the
Okay.
entire
Okay.
quote.
That's a whole statement.
Yeah, that's the
but
whole
yeah.
thing.
But no, but keep doing what you're doing. You know, that's that again, people will see stuff like that's flat, let me figure it out. But we just talked about all these pioneering things with this. I know you've been doing the shoes for years and years and years. And I know people do that kind of stuff. But again, you know, you can pat yourself on the back as a pioneer. We know about it, shoot. So here's some gifts
we
from
got? What we
us
got?
as
What we
well.
got? Okay. I'm digging in the bottom. It feels like a.
Dig in the bottom to the
Is
heavy.
this a candle or shea butter?
That is shea butter.
This is the shea butter you made.
That is baby skin soft superstar butter.
Oh,
Yep. So
baby
it's
skin soft, super
yes,
soft
right.
butter.
People say, "Is it for babies?" I'm like, "Yes, from babies to 99, and it makes your skin feel soft as a baby." That's
And
the whole
fine.
point.
Oh, I got a patch.
Chocolate City rocks.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I got 2 patches. Was this supposed to be
Yep,
2?
yep. Until you,
Okay.
I know you know what to do with those.
I do.
Yes.
And I got a t-shirt. 2 patches. These are dope.
Yeah, that's right.
Did he do the artwork on those?
There's a the artist who did the artwork. His name is Pahel.
Okay.
Brazilian brother from Germany.
Black rock star superhero.
That's right. That's
tee.
right. That's right. You are one. So
Dope.
awesome. But thank you so much.
Black Rock Star Superhero.
No, she asked about the Chocolate City Rocks.
No, no, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Mhm. Yep. The Chocolate City Rocks. Logo.
Dope.
Yeah.
That's so
There you
dope.
go. But thank
you.
you, Helen.
Thank
It's
you
been
for
wonderful.
having
Thank you
me.
for being a
This
part
is
of this
fun.
talkative series. I learned a lot about you, and I'm gonna continue to support because I love nice, unique things. So that's where I
is
fit, and you definitely
amazing.
create some wonderful things that are unique.
Thank you.
So yeah, well, thank you.
Thank you for having the amazing space
Thank you.
and presence of mind to invite me. I appreciate
Of
that.
course, of
Thinking
course.
about me.
Yeah, so we'll have to have you again when you get to the next phase. Who knows? The metalsmithing may still be in your
Maybe.
future.
We'll see.
Maybe we'll see.
I
But the
just
hats
always was into
definitely
silver, so I wanted to make rings.
make
so
things. Yeah, but the hats definitely that was
Thank you.
that was meant to be as far as that whole inheritance of those molds. So I can't wait to see how that's going to evolve.
Excited.
Yay! All right, I think we
thank you.
finished. Cut.
That's a wrap.
It's a
You
wrap.
got social media stuff?
Oh, my social media stuff.
Yeah, we can keep going. We're still talking. So yes, let's go ahead and rattle it off. if
So on Instagram and Facebook at Helen Helen, because I'm a person out of place, Lolita.
Okay, so that's it. So you can find that on all of your. You make it.
Website.
Or
You
can
make
do
it easy.
Raw
Raw honey.
honey. Most people say that though.
Oh,
They're
raw
like,
honey. That's yeah, right. Yeah. Raw honey. That's right. We're gonna get it right. So awesome. And also check us out at Chocolate City Rocks, and we're gonna
Yes.
have this available on our YouTube channel as well.
Nice.
And stay tuned for the next one. Bye bye, everybody.